Hello and welcome to episode 10 of the Craft House Magic podcast. Thank you so much for watching and thank you to new viewers for giving me a go. So my name's Ellie Jones and I'm from Norwich in Norfolk in the UK, and it's actually sunny today, amazingly. It's been so dull and dreary lately. It's so nice to have a little bit of sunshine, although it is a bit cold. It's just nice to be inside and imagine that it is midsummer. So today I've got lots and lots of knitting and sewing related things to show you. Oh, don't forget we've got a knit-along going on to the Craft House Magic Sock Challenge 2017. So we've got a Ravelry group open, which is everyone chatting about all their socks that they're going to knit, and the challenge is basically to get you guys to try out new techniques. But the details about the cal are on the top of the write-up for the Ravelry group. For the sock challenge, so go and have a look there and join in the chatter. There's some lovely finished socks already, so it's brilliant that everyone's joining in. So I'll be opening the finished objects thread in mid-February, so keep an eye out for that, and I'll keep you updated in the podcasts as to when it's coming up and when it's going to be opened. So that's going on lovely. I'm feeling really inspired to try out some even more different patterns, so I can't stop casting on socks, it's crazy. Right, so on Instagram I'm Craft House Magic, and also on Ravelry I'm Craft House Magic as well, so if you go along to the Ravelry group Craft House Magic you can join in the chatter like I was just talking about. I'm doing everything back to front today, it's no good, is it? Have a good drink. I've managed not to break my mug and it's completely made of glass, which is amazing. We'll see if I can make it to next Christmas. So I've got a finished object, some works in progress for knitting, and I've got a little bit of sewing, some hand embroidery as well. I've got a blast from the past, a gadget, some confessions, even though I'm not supposed to be being naughty. I've got some chatter because some people have asked me some questions on the Ask Me Anything thread, and I've got some update stuff on my wedding. I'll put that at the very end in case you're not interested. So if we start with finished objects. I finished my Vanilla is the New Black socks. I haven't blocked them, I'm afraid, so they look a little bit messy. But you can see that really cool heel. I definitely do this again. It's a very interesting pattern and very easy without the sort of having to pick up stitches, which is ideal. I actually don't mind picking up stitches, but it's nice just to have a change where you don't actually have to pick up stitches. So these are Vanilla is the New Black by Anna Fletcher. You'll find a link to the pattern on my Ravelry page if you're interested, and the yarn is from Knit Picks and it's called a Hawthorn Fingering, and it's in the cosmic speckle colourway. I've got mixed feelings about this yarn. I do like the speckles in it, that's nice. I don't know whether it's just because of the needle size that I've been using, but it does feel very sort of dense, the yarn. And I didn't enjoy knitting them as much as I have done with other yarns, so I don't know if I'd buy any of this Hawthorn fingering again. We'll see. I have actually got another couple of skeins in a different colourway. It might work better if I worked with some larger needles. The sort of texture of the fabric might work out better. I just felt it feels quite hard, but then again it stretches quite a lot. So I don't know. Whether it's to do with my needle gauge or just because I don't really enjoy knitting with this yarn, I'm not quite sure yet. So I've got a lovely pair of socks. So that's those finished. So that's all my finished objects for this week. But I've been doing lots of bits and pieces on other things, so I'm trying to get at least one finished object finished for each episode. That's a lot of words saying finished. Oh dear. Anyway, I will stop rambling. I will start with my sock work in progress. So I started another sock, but this time I'm using the crazy 9-inch needles. So I tried some of these before, and I tried some higher 2.25 needles I've still got. and I didn't get on with them, but I didn't give them much of a chance. I think I only knitted about an inch, and I just was like, I hate these. But I thought I'd give these needles a go. So there's been a lot of people trying out the 9 inches again, especially with the Knitalong that everyone's been joining in. And my friend is a fan of these Chow Goo 9-inch circulars. And I've also heard from the yarn hoarder that she said, but because they are very, very slightly longer than needles, it's just that little bit easier to use. So I thought, I will give them another go. And I bought myself a pair of 2.5mm Chow Goos. And I'm knitting, I'll show you the sock blank. This is a gorgeous sock blank that I bought from Hedgerow Yarns. I think I showed you on the last podcast. And I just had to cast this on. I folded it over so there's colour on that side as well. So I've cast on these socks with the 9 inches and it's gorgeous sock blank. It's obviously a little bit messy because it's been knitted from a wavy sock blank, which is fun. I've never actually knitted directly from the sock blank before. I have dyed sock blanks and then unravelled them after I've dyed them. Which is completely against the point. I know, how silly. But I love how this is coming out because it's like painting, like a watercolour painting, I think. So I've done my normal 17 rows of 2x2 rib, and then I'm starting just a plain stockinette stitch. Now I'm actually going to follow the Minas Phillips, what's it called? Oh, I've got my notes and I've lost where I am. It's Mina Phillips, it's the sock recipe, the new sock recipe where she does a vanilla sock recipe where she does a different heel. So it was so kindly given to me, or gifted to me by my friend Terry. Thank you so much, Terry. That was lovely of you. It's so nice when somebody sends you something like that. I've never been gifted a pattern before and it just made me feel so happy. So thank you so much, Terry. And I'm really enjoying knitting them so far, and I'm really looking forward to getting to this new type of heel. So that's really exciting, and it kind of integrates with the Knitalong as well, so a new pattern. And I'm knitting with my 9 inches, which I'm actually just about getting used to. On the first couple of rows I thought, oh, I hate this so much. Partially because, well, on any sock, I think the first couple of rows are a pain anyway. But it was fiddlier with the 9 inches for me, probably mainly because I knit slightly differently. Normally with the needle cupped over one hand, and you just can't do it with these. So I've had to sort of force myself. Oh, I'm knitting it from the other way. I've forced myself to hold it from here. So I'm a little bit slower, but by the time I'd got to the stockinette stitch, I just about got used to them, I think. I'm not very fast. I'm actually far quicker on the magic loop, even though you have to kind of pull your cord around. But I'm thinking I might get faster. I'm going to force myself to knit an entire sock with these 9-inch needles and then decide whether I like them or not. So I don't know if you watched a few podcasts back, I also bought some 9-inch needles which were made by Addy, which had a longer needle on the one side than the other, so I also want to try those out. But I bought a size 2mm needles, which are a bit thin really, but those are the only ones I could get at the time, and I just had to have them. So I want to try those out too. So they were coming really cute. So thank you, Terry, for that pattern. It's really, really lovely of you. Yay. So those are my sock whip. Whip number 2. So this is my sugar plum shawl. And this is also by Mina Phillips. That's the second pattern I'm knitting. So last time I got to where my little stitch mark, progress keeper is, and I've knitted quite a few rounds. So I've now finished the sort of eyelet and garter stitch repeat phase, and I've started doing the lacy bit. So I've done 1 repeat of the lacy, and I've got another 4 repeats of that to go, and then I actually finished. So I'm getting there. I really should have put this shawl on some longer needles so you could actually see the full length of it. I'll see if I can sort of spread half so you get the idea of what it looks like. So, as I said, this is the Sugar Plum Shawl by Mina Phillip, and the pattern, not the pattern, the yarn, I don't know if I've brought the tag, it's the Malabrigo sock in the Lotus colourway anyway. I remember that, that's good. So that's nearly finished, so I'm hoping to get this finished by the next podcast, so that'll be my finished object for the next podcast, hopefully. Fingers crossed, you never know, I might get excited about another pattern. So I haven't done much on my, so I'm not going to attempt to pronounce it, I'm going to show you the actual front of the pattern. Somebody, lovely, kind person, did give me a description of how you pronounce this word, but weirdly I cannot find where this message has gone. So whether I've accidentally deleted it on my phone, I'm really sorry, thank you so much for sending the message, but it just completely disappeared off my phone. I can't find out, I can't see it on YouTube, I can't see it on Instagram, I can't see it on Ravelry, so either I'm just going loopy or something's gone crazy with my phone, I don't know. But thank you so much for telling me how to pronounce it. I've also had issues with somebody putting a comment on my YouTube video last time, and I could see it in my notifications list, but then I couldn't, when I clicked on it, I couldn't reply to it on the thread underneath the YouTube video. So I'm really sorry if I haven't replied to your message. I did try, but I just couldn't manage it. Oh, and I tell you what, I'll talk about it in the chat a bit at the end, so I don't keep rambling on, so you don't get bored. But anyway, so this is the G shawl, I'll call it, by the lovely Ruth of Knitararium, and I'm knitting this as part of her Knitalong, which is to do with the year of you. So this first month is something especially to make me happy, which is lovely. If you go onto the Knitararium Ravelry group, you'll see lots of other people's shawls, what they've been knitting as well. And I haven't had much chance to knit on this, but it is absolutely gorgeous. You can now see in the light the shapes that are being formed, and it's a lovely, lovely intuitive pattern, but it just gives such a lovely design. This is a provincial cast on, so that will be gone at the end. And this yarn is so soft. I better tell you what the yarn is. It's no good, is it? So this is Malabrigo lace, and it is, I think it's called the Bobby Blue colourway. Yes, it's number 27 in the Bobby Blue colourway. And that, I've chatted to you in the last episode about how the colours in the three different yarn, the balls of yarn that I've got vary slightly. And lovely, quite a few of you have replied to my message of need and mentioned about either changing the yarn every 2 rows so that you're working from 2 skeins, or using one skein and then integrating the next skein when you get towards the end of it. I think I'm going to do the second of those options. I'm not sure. I might change my mind when I start knitting on it again. When I'm uploading this podcast, I'm going to sit there and just relax and work on my G shawl. Can't pronounce it. So thank you, Ruth, for designing such a gorgeous pattern. I'm really, really enjoying that. I just need to sit down and have some nice quiet few minutes, but because it's lace, I find it difficult to see at night, and I do not want to risk dropping stitches with that lovely pattern. It's just such a pleasure to look at, and if I ruined it, I would be so cross with myself. Sorry, just having a sip of my tea. So I've got one more work in progress to go. It's my Cozy Memories blanket. It's really massive. Look, I can keep really warm with this. Oh dear. So these 4, they're all hedgerow yarns, and these 3 here are ones that I'd included in my building block shawl by Stephen West. So if you want to know exactly what colours they are, if you pop to my Ravelry page, you can see there. But, and this top one here is a pair of socks. It's from a pair of socks that I've knitted. So the ones that I've added since the last episode are these two. Oh, and I completely forgot to check what the person's name was, but they suggested that instead of, because I was decreasing on the first row of this square and it made it a little bit pointy, but with these ones, someone suggested that I just ignore the first decrease row and then do it the second time I got on the reverse side and decreased on that row instead. I was panicking in case it would make it too bulky, but actually that's worked out lovely, and I really love it so far. I've gone a bit crazy buying mini skeins in my confessions. So naughty. Oh dear. I'll speak to you about that in a little bit. So, what should we do next? I think I'm going to talk about my sewing projects next. So I cannot stop saying the word so. I'm really apologetic about this. Adam always watches it back and takes the mickey out of me. Oh, so he's evil, I say. So for Christmas, my sister-in-law to be had bought me a voucher from the local sewing shop. So I went there and I saw a kit to make this bag, and I just thought, I don't normally buy kits, I normally work it out how to make it yourself, but it was really a reasonable price and I thought, I'll just buy it and treat myself. So it's got these massive pockets around the outside, and it's a big drawstring bag, and it's absolutely massive really. I put some yarn in there earlier and I got 400-gram skeins and there was still loads of room. I think you could easily get 6 in there. So I might actually start using this for my Cozy Memories blanket, and I've lined it in just a plain blue cotton. The kit actually came with the fabric, but I changed the fabric a bit because I didn't like how it went together. So I added a dark blue trim here instead. There was a bright green and I just thought it was there was too many different colours. But it's massive, you can see how big it is. It's the size of my head, look! So I've made that. And also in sewing, I'd seen lots of people doing a lot of embroidery things on Instagram, and I thought, I'm going to pick up my embroidery again. So I started this years ago. So this is the pattern. I don't know if you can see. It's like a little cottage, and it's, what's it called? It's called Anne Hathaway's Cottage. And it's a long stitch embroidery pattern. And it looks quite muted colours here. So I actually got this from a charity shop for £2. How ridiculous with all the threads. Crazy. Why somebody hadn't scooped it up before, I don't know. So I'd sewn it to this I don't think you could see properly because you can see through it. So I've done all the, at the bottom here, I've done all the sort of standard embroidery thread, floral bit around here. And I've just started doing this wool long stitch at the top. And actually the main part of the house is also done in wool. So I've got to finish that off, and I'm hoping, now that I've shown it on the podcast, I'll have to do lots more work on it and get it finished, because I really want it just as a cute little picture on my wall. So there we go, half finished. I think that'll take me a lot less time to do the rest. Because this is embroidery thread and you've got to split it, so you only got 2 or 3 threads out of the group. It took me a lot longer to do that than the wool, because you literally just use a single strand of the plied wool to do this part. So that's my second sewing project. I'm just trying to spread everything out. Excuse me, having another drink. It's thirsty work, this podcasting. Right, so what have I got next to show you? I've got my blast from the past. I forgot to put it on. I so should have put it on before the podcast so you could have seen it. So this one is a shawl I needed a little while ago. See, I'm hoping I haven't shown this before. I really need to make a list of the shawls I've shown from the past. I can't remember. If I have, please shout at me and say, Ellie, you've so shown this already. But I really love it anyway. So this is another Boo Knits shawl. Woohoo! You can see I was a bit obsessed with Boo Knits. and actually knitted most of their patterns. It's ridiculous. So this one, the Boo Knits pattern is called Rain Shine, and the yarn is called Solstice Yarns, and it's in the dark secret colourway, and it's called Solstice Yarn Rivendell Lace. And it's I just love the way these little beady bits just sort of drip. Just reminds me of rain, really. That's why it's called Rain Shine, I suppose. And that is absolutely gorgeous. It's such a wearable shawl, and it just looks so lovely and drapey. I'll put it on. Keep me warm. So that's my blast from the past. I hope you like it. So what have I got next? Ooh, gadget. We've got a gadget for you today. So this I've been using for a little while, but I've noticed that quite a few people have been using them and advertising them on Instagram. I find it ever so useful when you're having to count lots and lots of rows. It's quite cool because it sort of goes to sleep when it's not being used, and then you can see I've been counting 16 rows there. So I've just activated it by lightly tapping the main button on the front, and then if you want to zero it, you just press the reset at the side. So there we go, and it's just a nice way of keeping track of how many rows you've done. And I just wrap it around my finger for those of you that haven't seen them before, but it just goes around your finger. And I thought that to start with it'd be too bulky, but actually if you sort of wear it here and as I'm knitting, that's perfectly fine. And I choose a blue one as per usual. I noticed that Diane from Peggy May Yarns had got them in her shop. I don't know how many she's got left, so if you want some you could pop over and have a look where she's selling them on her. So it's peggymayyarns.co.uk if anyone's interested. So that's my gadget. So I love a gadget, as you know. Right, so now I'm on to confessions. Oh no. I think that my Cozy Memories blanket is such a bad idea, because now I see mini skeins and I think, ooh. And because they're so small and you get more for your sort of one skein price, I think, oh, I'm just mind you, it's like you get more pleasure out of each one of these. So this is my little basket that I've been filling up with my mini skeins I've been ordering. This is where I've been keeping my Cozy Memories as well, but I might transfer into my my big bag that I showed you just a minute ago. So I've said it again. So I ordered these gorgeous. I took these out the bag. Sorry, I therefore don't know the names of each of them. They are so cute. These are by Fondant Fibre, and I shall tell you what the packet's called because I can't remember. So it's called Old Romance Skeinettes, and it tells you what each of them are called on there. So it's Que Sera, Secret Love, Breathless Kiss, Sentimental Journey, and On Moonlight Bay. So I can't tell you which ones are which, but they're all gorgeous anyway. Look at those. I think my very favourite is this one. It's got like grey and bits of green and slight bits of purple in as well. Oh, they're all really lovely. So those are from Fondant Fibre. And I might have ordered some more. Oh, Deb does some lovely yarns. It's really lovely. So I've got an excuse for the next lot I bought. These I ordered way in early January, before the last podcast. Because they're part of the February Mini Skeins Club by Nora George. Now, if you don't want to see what the mini skeins are, shut your eyes. I won't tell you what they're actually called, so that if you're listening, it doesn't spoil it for you. So I'm going to show them. Ooh, look at those. I have had them out the packet, but I put them back in so I could remember what they were called. So I'll tip them out and show you. Look at those. Yummy. So I think I've probably got enough mini skeins to sink a ship now. Right, so you can look again now. I'm not showing the Nora George stuff. So both of those, the little mini, so the Nora George ones are 10 grams and the ones from Fondant Fibre are 20 grams. So they'll all be going into my Cozy Memories blanket. And what my aim is to knit one square every week, so that I keep on track and don't overdo it. So I've knitted 4 squares so far, and one of these are one for each week so far in January. So by the next podcast I'll have knitted 2 more squares, and it'll be one of probably my mini skeins. Although I do have one more little bit left from my building block shawl, which I might put next to these 3. So we'll see about that. So I've also, oh, I forgot to say, with the Fondant Fibre order, I bought some knitter's soap. I haven't actually opened it yet, but this is the tea rose, and it smells gorgeous. Oh, next time I wash my socks, I'll try this out and let you know how I get on. I've never used block soap before to wash socks, but I thought that'd be really cool. I might have also ordered a different smell in this with my latest Fondant Fibre order, so you will get a review of 2 different smells when I actually get around to washing some socks by hand next time. I actually do wash all my socks that I hand knit by hand, just so I avoid felting them, because I know, well, it's only really the yarns that I don't really know how they react that I'm worried about. Like with the opal, I've actually washed those at 30 degrees and they've been fine. But with some of the others, I've ended up not actually felting them, that they've just started to go, and I thought, do you know what, I'm just going to hand wash them all. Because of all that time I've spent knitting them, it'd be such a shame for them to felted. I did felt one pair once, it's dreadful. I washed them at like 60. And it was like 100% super soft merino. That was such a shame. Anyway, I will shut up now and talk about my whole skeins. So, oh, look at these. Look at these. So these 2 are by the lovely Diane from Peggy May Yarns. And so I'll start with this one first. This is one of the Christmas colourways, and it's Frosty the Snowman, and it is absolutely gorgeous. I think even though it's called Frosty the Snowman, it's an all year round colour as well. It just looks sort of icy, doesn't it? And it's got some really nice tones of greys, little speckles of really dark grey, and different tones of blue in there, and different, oh look at that, it's lovely. So this is going to be some socks. I was thinking about knitting the Mercury socks in this yarn. I think that will come out really lovely. So I'll just show Diane's card at Peggy May Yarns. And she's got a separate website. It's not on Instagram. Okay, so this is 75% merino, 25% nylon. And that's the skein number 1 from Diane. And then I've got some confetti. I saw that, so Diane was doing a competition to win a skein of this, and I saw that So Sweet Violet, Isabel from So Sweet Violet had won it, and I just thought, oh, look, it's so lovely. So this is the confetti colourway, and it's the same makeup of the yarn as this first one I showed you, but it's got some pink in it as well, and it really does remind me of confetti. That's really pretty. That's really lovely. So that's going to be some socks as well. But I'll tell you a bit more a bit. I'll tell you a little bit more about that on another episode. I can get my words out now, hopefully. There's a tower of yarn appearing at the side of me. And I didn't mean to order any more. I've got an excuse because the Peggy May order, I'd pre-ordered it earlier before my last episode where I said I wouldn't buy any more yarn. Mind you, I'd ordered the mini skeins as well, so I've got no hope. It's just... oh, I have to stock up just in case I can't leave the house. You never know, do you? So I bought another skein. So this is, I've got it upside down. That's no good, is it? This is from Hedgerow Yarns. And I'd used my Hedgerow Yarns from before. So I needed a whole skein that I could admire in my collection. I think I've decided that I definitely understand when people say that you need some in your stash just so that you can have it. Because if you've used it, you just feel lost. You need some more. So that's so this one's called, I should remember because Sunset Boulevard, that's it. So Jane had put a picture up of this yarn on Instagram and asked people to name it for a competition. And somebody called it Sunset Boulevard, which I think is a lovely name. Excuse me. And it's got some really nice sort of oranges and browns and teals and greys in there. So that's really lovely. So this will be a pair of socks as well. Mainly because I've only bought one skein. But it is lovely and soft. But that's going to stay in my stash until I buy another hedgerow. This is why I have to keep my Peggy May's yarn as well. I can use one and then keep one in my stash and then I have to get a new one to replace it. At least I haven't bought like 10 million skeins of each. I could well have done. There was many other colourways on lots of these shops. See, I've been very good. Oh dear. I will stop going on now. So, oh, I've got some more confessions. I was in the fabric shop and I saw this magazine with this patterning. So I don't normally buy sewing magazines because they tend to be a bit rubbish, to be honest. Well, it depends what patterns they've got. A lot of the quilting patterns, I think, they've come round again. I've got it in older magazines, but sometimes actually the dressmaking ones you get a couple of quite a few patterns in each one, and there is like that dress looks quite pretty. I'd probably make that at some point. And this is the dress that I bought the magazine for, so it's £5.99 for the magazine, but I did get this proper full-blown pattern with it. And I saw this and I thought this would be a brilliant dress to go on holiday with. So I'm going to make that for next time I go on holiday. Not that I've booked my holidays yet. I really need to book a honeymoon and I still haven't organised the honeymoon yet. The wedding is the priority. So anyway, I'm going to use a jersey fabric and it's a really nice pattern because there's like, it's a sort of comfortable dress, but then there's a panel across the front, which I think will cover a multitude of sins. I'm hoping so anyway. Oh dear. Anyway. So that's another confession. Sorry I keep looking down. I'm having to refer to my list all the time. So that's my confessions. And then now we're on to the chatter. So I was talking earlier about how a lady had left a message on my YouTube video. And I couldn't actually I couldn't click on it. I couldn't find it underneath the video, so I don't know where it's gone. Whether I'm using YouTube incorrectly, I'm really sorry. But, and I didn't even note down what the name of the person is, but I'm really sorry, but thank you. And she was saying that, because I showed my invites in the last episode and they're sort of a little bit Lord of the Rings themed because they've got the Tree of Gondor on the front of them. And I didn't actually say any words that relate to Lord of the Rings, but if you know Lord of the Rings, then you'll know that it's a Tree of Gondor, so it's like subtly themed Lord of the Rings. And this lady was saying that she had the Hobbiton theme tune, the piece of music, as she was going up the aisle, and I thought that was fabulous. So I may well steal your idea and have that come in as I'm coming back down the aisle, because I've already got a tune picked for going up the aisle, which I won't reveal just yet, because it's secret for the people who are coming. But that was really lovely to hear about somebody else's plans for their wedding. Yes, and so I was talking about messages that disappear on YouTube or Instagram, so I do apologise if you don't get a reply for your message. It's probably because I've managed to lose the message somewhere, or YouTube is being weird. So thank you so much for leaving your messages. It's so nice to read your questions and information about what you've been knitting and your things that are going on in your life. Rob had ordered some Knit Pro Nova Silver knitting needles from Amazon. Now, I actually ordered, I think it was the same set in about 2012, and they have been absolutely fabulous. I have used them so much for shawls and things. It's the interchangeable set, so you get a load of cables and a set of needles, and I've added to those with different sizes over the years. But he bought some, and they were actually unbelievably fake, so watch out. Although, as soon as he realised that they were fake, he did send them back and they did get his money back, so that's okay. But just beware of fake Knit Pro knitting needles. How weird is that? So, he bought a separate set of Knit Pro Nova Silver needle tips for the interchangeable set, and you could noticeably see a difference, that the ones that were real were lovely and sort of a sort of muted silver colour, whereas the fake ones were very bright and cheap looking, and he found that he actually used them for just one project, and that the silver coating had come off. So beware of those fakes out there. I don't know if anybody else has had experiences like that. I just find that so upsetting that you can trust these companies, especially Amazon, and then you get fake products, which is blooming awful. So anybody who's had experiences similar, it'd be interesting to see what things you might have got fake to do with the knitting and things on these websites, and perhaps we could sort of let each other know and find out what's going on. I don't know. Right, we've got a few questions that were on the chatter thread. So we had Deb, who is Deb Anna PLS, on Ravelry. She asked me how I get my socks to match. Now, I'm sliding down my chair. So what I do is I take the yarn, basically, if it's like a striping yarn, you know that there's a good amount of stripe on each colour. When I take my yarn to cast on my first sock, what I do is I take it from the start of a colour, so I know that's a clear cut point, and then I'll knit the first sock, and by the end of the first sock I'll have realised what the colour pattern is. So I'll then find that point in the yarn and cut it there and draw out the same amount of yarn. So normally I take the distance between my left shoulder and the end of my right hand is about the distance from my cast on edge, or a row roughly. So I'll then have a pair of matching socks. However, if I've just pulled some yarn and just knitted the socks straight away, sometimes what I do is I'll say if I've got a red and a green stripe, so the top of the sock is red and then it goes into green. I'll count how many rows I've got from the top of the green to the top of the sock, and then I'll account for a cast on row, and I'll measure that number of rows for this distance. So say I had 6 rows above the green, I'll measure 6 distances from my shoulder to my end of my hand, and then I'll cut it, and that's where I'll cast on. Does that make sense? I think I actually described this better when I was replying to Deb on the Ravelry thread, so feel free to go and check my description that I'd written out on there, my reply. So I hope that helps. That was a really rubbish explanation. I hope that made sense. So basically, my theory is that if you know how much yarn you're going to use for a row, you can then calculate what distance from a certain colour you need to go to. It gets a little bit more difficult when you have not very clear cut stripes. So it's easier to work out for ones where they're nice clear stripes, like the West Yorkshire Spinners striped yarn, for instance. So I know I'm a tight knitter, so you may find that you're a different distance than shoulder to the end of your hand. But what you could do is just knit a row and then undo it and work out how long it is, and then you could times that by the amount of rows that you've got. So once you know that, then you've got a record of it and it's fine. So I hope that made sense. So thanks, Deb, for that question. That was really interesting. Then we had Sylvia, who is Little Red Robin on Ravelry, and she was asking me what's my favourite yarn and my favourite garment to knit. So my absolute favourite material for yarn is a merino, I think, or anything that's like silky and soft, like silk, or alpaca, or something really luxurious. So in terms of like manufacturers, I probably like the sort of lovely hand-dyed things the very best. But it's quite expensive, but it's lovely. It's well worth it. For all the pleasure I get. I'm getting too excited now. So my favourite, I think it depends on what the yarn's for. In terms of sock yarns, I think that something like Opal for like the big manufactured yarns is my very favourite for sock yarn, for, you know, the off the shelf kind of stuff. And I like West Yorkshire Spinners too. I don't, anything soft and luxurious. So in terms of my favourite garment to knit, I think people might guess that it's socks. Just because they're really easy to carry around. You can just stick it in your handbag and whip it out every time you've got to sit there and wait for something, because I hate wasting time. It's great if you're in a queue or something, get your knitting out. Yesterday we went out for dinner or lunch and I took my knitting with me, and people give you a bit of funny looks when you've got your knitting out when you're waiting for your order. But there's valuable minutes. Anyway, so socks are my very favourite, but I really love shawls. But the only thing is that quite often you have to concentrate a little bit more, or you end up with massive rows, which are a little bit sort of like, oh, I really want to get to the end so I can wear it. So socks are my very favourite, but I do love any type of knitting. It's lovely. So thank you, Sylvia, for that question. I also had, not a question, but there was a lovely lady had posted that she'd mentioned me in her, blog. That's the word. So she's got a lovely blog, and it's called Jo Through the Keyhole. So it's Jo through the keyhole. I'll put it up on the screen. And she got some really lovely crocheted and knitted items on her website. So if you go and have a look at there, that's really nice. So thank you, Jo, for mentioning me. I had a little look. I haven't got this time is some things to put on my shop. But I am working on a few items on some bags, which I'll be working on to do for a big shop update in the middle of February, so that there'll be lots of things on the shop ready for the so the winner or one of the winners of the Knitalong, the sock challenge, will have lots of things to choose from, or they can ask me for something specific in a specific fabric or design if they fancy. So, but there'll be a little bit more for you to choose from. So I'll let you guys know next time when the update will be. But it won't be long after the next podcast anyway, my next shop update. I've been really busy lately with a lot of wedding-y things, so now on to wedding-y stuff. So if you're not interested in this, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you can join me next time. Bye! So I've been doing lots of organising things, like contacting the DJ and writing down a list of the entire songs I want played throughout my wedding evening reception thing. It's just probably a little bit over the top and controlling, but never mind. And I've also ordered some fabric from a shop which is absolutely amazing, to do with bridal fabrics. So they sent me, I've made a bit of a mess of all these samples now because I've been looking at them so much, but they sent me a little batch of bridal fabrics for free, and the customer service was absolutely brilliant. It's called Harrington's Fabric and Lace, I think it's called. I'll put a link in the down bar. And they were so wonderful. So each of these pieces of fabric, there's details of the price and the width of the fabrics and things. So this is a lovely, really high quality satin. And actually, I'd been to a few fabric shops before this, or at least got samples from them, and they were absolutely not good enough for wedding dress material. It was a little bit poor quality. So one of my friends from my bobbin lace group suggested that I tried Harrington's Fabric and Lace, and they were amazing. So a lady called Debbie I contacted there, and I told her what pattern I was going to use and what sort of style I was looking for, and she sent me some of these. See, I didn't even ask for these particular laces, but they were exactly what I was looking for. They're absolutely gorgeous. So what I did then was sort of plan out how much I needed of each of these different fabrics, and I asked them whether they thought that was about right, because I wanted to check. And they checked it out for me and advised me to line it again with another fabric, because I wasn't sure whether I needed to line it. And they sent me some information of what else I should get, and so helpful. And I ordered it, and it literally came the next day. It was unbelievable. So I got some of this. This is a really, really soft tulle for the skirting fabric of my dress. So those of you, those of you who didn't perhaps see it, this is the pattern that I bought to make my wedding dress from. So I'm going to do quite a long trail, I think, but in like a pale ivory colour. And I'm going to change the neck bit, but this is the basic structure of the dress is going to be like this. And I'm going to use a very light tulle, about 3 layers of fabric on the skirts, to make it sort of like a princess dress. You've got to make yourself look like a princess on the only time you can look ridiculous in your entire life. On your wedding day. So I definitely recommend Harrington's Fabric and Lace for those of you who want to make dresses for wonderful, you know, like wedding occasions, like for bridesmaids and for brides dresses and things. Such good customer service. That's ordered and arrived, so I can start on my wedding dress now. It's scary. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a shorter version just to test the pattern in a sort of, I don't know, a cotton fabric, I think, just to check the fit, but then have this as like a wearable muslin so that I can actually wear it as well. I thought that'd be quite good. Whether I'll get around to this, I don't know. We'll see. Was there anything else I was going to mention about the wedding? I don't think so. It's mainly fabric. Oh, I was going to show you the big piece of lace that I've got. So this was ridiculously expensive because it's so beautiful, I suppose, and detailed. I don't suppose you can really see it very well, but it's a gorgeous. This is the one I ordered, and it's £42 a metre, but it's quite wide. I think it's 130 centimetres wide, and I only needed 2 metres because I'm only going to do the floral pattern on the top of the dress. So that should be lovely. I'm scared stiff to cut this. So I've got 2 metres, £80 worth of fabric in my hands. Oh dear. The whole dress came to, I think it was £440 for all the fabric and delivery. So actually, compared to dresses in the shop, which are something like £1,500, £2,000, it's quite a lot cheaper for a big poofy dress. So this is good. Well, I think that's everything for today. Thank you ever so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your lovely messages and chatter in the Ravelry thread. very welcome to come and join us if you haven't already. It'd be lovely to see you. Okay,